Let's pick a fabric to figure out what color palette it is, what essence it could work for, and how the fabric actually works for your style lines and shapes. Let's go. How should we choose? Oh no, this is already the one we did. Oi, oi, oi. Take two. 1, 2, 3. Aha! Ooh, good one. Here's the fabric. Double-sided. We can go through both sides and see if that changes anything. Let's go. So let's talk about this print and where it might fall. So right off the bat, I'm looking at the colors and the brightness, and this is an interesting print because it may be a little bit tricky to capture the dynamic colors in the print. So here, you see there is an iridescent shine. Let me pick it up. You see we have these flowers, and on the other side, we also have flowers. On the next, this is close up. We can see yellows, greens, blues, a little bit of a purple flower here. So what am I immediately thinking when I see this? Is this more blue added to the color, which means cooler, or yellow added to the color, which means warmer? I am thinking these are warmer shades. Do we have any other data about this fabric? I would say that it's fairly bright. These are fairly clear colors, especially in person. But just to be sure, let's check our cool colors against it and just see, is there anything we like about this? So let's try Light Summer. So my first impressions is that these do not feel like they match with this. This red and pinks don't feel like it goes with this blue. We're not seeing this green anywhere within this palette. And the blues, kind of, but not exactly. This feels warmer than this palette. So we're gonna no to summer. Now let's just check it against bright winter to see if we like anything about that. So do we find the blues? I mean, the blues aren't super far off, but we're really not seeing this green come through. And overall, I just feel like when I set this palette on top of this fabric, I see this palette immediately, and this fabric takes a background stage. So I lose the fabric, which means it's probably not part of this color palette. So let's play around with the warms now. So we're going to explore Bright Spring and Light and see what we like about both. So we're gonna put Light Spring on top, and we're just going to first try to see, can we find similar colors within the palette? And do they feel in harmony? I mean, we're finding similar colors. This green is kind of similar. We're seeing this blue a little bit close, purple, but I don't necessarily feel like this palette is completely harmonizing with this. I think this has a little bit more brightness compared to this. So while Light Spring is an okay option, let's explore Bright Spring. And I have two Bright Spring palettes, so we're going to compare each of them because every palette is a tool. It's not meant to be a perfect match. It is meant to essentially be a guide, like how I'm using it here. So where are we finding connections here? So I think these are a pretty good match here. I think this is a great match here. Purple, it's such a small detail that I'm not too concerned that it's a little bit lighter there. This yellow green, we're not finding exactly the color, but it's pretty close. Let's see, maybe here, that's a better green, yeah. Okay. So I'm liking Bright Spring. Let's test it against our other palette and see what our other palette says. So see, you're gonna find differences between the palettes, and it's up to you. Generally, they're the same color families, but they just present things slightly differently. So this is why you have to choose a system and a color palette that works for you. So let's see what I'm seeing here. Spread this one out a little bit more. Here, I'm not finding quite as good of a match to this greeny yellow. I mean, this is okay, it's a little bit brighter, but I am liking this match a little bit more. Here, I'm finding good matches in the blue, decent matches in the blue. That's okay. What about our purples? So this doesn't have a full purple lavender strip, so this might be a little confusing because if you use this palette, you wouldn't find as many matches as you did with this palette. But they do the same thing because when we place these colors, let's just pull out our colors. on top of here, those feel like they belong in the same family. If we do the same thing over here, these also feel like they belong in the same family. These sit equal with this. We don't notice the colors first, we don't notice the print. And I'm going to lift this up to show you the matches we're making. So you see, I like these. I think this is good. So here's the fabric up close, and it has a shine to it, which is great for the Bright Springs. So I am going to place this fabric in the Bright Spring. Now, I just really want to quickly go over True Spring because I realize some people might be thinking it could be True Spring. Now, the green side would probably work for a True Spring a little bit better, but I feel like this has more yellow in it here. So this fabric is double-sided, as we discussed, and this blue is interwoven, it's a brocade, with this green. So the fact that this fabric, as you can see here, is interwoven, there is a lot of this blue coming through on this green, not only in the flower area, but also if we zoom in here, there's a blueness. And I don't think we're seeing that in the True Spring palette. I think we're seeing it better in our Bright Spring, because our Bright Spring has that cool influence. It has a little bit more connection, I think, to the colors. And if we flip it this side, here again we have Bright Spring. There feels like a lot of connections between these colors. They feel even on the same playing field. Here we're just feeling a disconnect. I feel like these colors don't necessarily match. Like I couldn't make an outfit with this color and this color. They wouldn't feel like they're part of the same family. So that's why True Spring was not my go-to. Okay, so Bright Spring. Let's talk about where this fabric belongs, what designs would work for what essences, what body types, etc. So let's go. Okay, it's going to be very hard for you to find a print that fits your lines, your shapes, your essence blend, your color palette, all of those things together. So we want to be flexible with what we're doing, and we want a little bit of moving around room. So if we take my dress, for instance, I'm a Bright Spring. So we're gonna take our palette and we're gonna say, how close are these? I mean, it's pretty close. We're feeling some connections between these two things. You may stumble upon those once in a lifetime garments where you're like, yes, it has all the parameters, it is perfect. But mostly when you're shopping, you will find things where you're like, okay, it works for my lines and shapes, the color is close, it's a sister season, should I do it? I like to go with the 85% rule, which I do have a podcast episode all about here. And I want to make sure that we're connecting with our style pillars. So the first way to vet a piece is to look at your style pillars and decide the priority of your style pillars. So if we were determining the color palette pillar and we use our 12 seasonal color analysis, we felt pretty good when we went through the analysis that this is a Bright Spring piece. Now, see here, and that shine is really nice for Bright Springs, even better. I like this side even better. We're like, yes, this is working. As a Bright Spring myself, I could see myself wearing this color. Now, we did our lovely, like, yes, these feel like they are belonging in the same family. Okay, so now let's look at the print and the scale of the print. And it's shiny, so that does affect our essence blend. I'm going to say because this is a woven brocade and you see the green come through on this side and you see that blue come through on this side, that because we have so many integrated colors and we both found that these were pretty close to the Bright Spring palette, I'm going to say that they are both brights. Let's first talk about body shape and the fabric weight. Where would this fall on our style lines? So we automatically see that straight lines are happening. We see that this fabric is probably a medium weight fabric. It probably leans a little bit yang because we could do a very stiff pleat with this fabric. If we pleated it and we sewed these down, we would get sharp lines. We would get volume. See how that holds its shape, see how it forms those yang lines. This isn't naturally going to, if I drape it along my body, it doesn't want to fall along my body. It wants to hold its shape. Look, it's moving past my body. It likes to hold its shape. So I would say this is a medium weight brocade fabric. And ultimately, I would say that it would work for many different shapes depending on the tailoring. Could you do a full circle skirt in this? Absolutely, it would hold its shape beautifully, which would give it a yang element. Could you do a fitted classic gown with some princess seams or darts here for shaping? Yes, absolutely. When we talked about the other fabric in the previous video of the series, we noticed that it had a very yin quality to that it really liked to glide, and that in order to make it yang, we would have had to add interfacing to it or structure. This does not need structure. So this would work very well for a lot of yang IDs. As a flamboyant natural, it could work. As a dramatic, it could work. Dramatic classic, it could work. In terms of structure and fabric weight, it's going to hold its shape nicely. Now, how could it work for a romantic or someone who needs soft draped curves? Well, I mean, it could. Here's the interesting part about something like kibbe or tailoring and the current status of fashion. If you were to get a bespoke garment in this fabric, bespoke meaning tailored to your exact measurements, it would look beautiful on a romantic, because they are making sure that the construction elements within the design are suited to fit your curve. Now, it would depend on the design, of course, but if we took this fabric and we created this dress and it fit like a glove, you're accommodating for double curve then, because it's forming around your body perfectly. Now, if you took this fabric and made this dress, then obviously that is not accommodating double curve. So that is why many romantics or yin-linging IDs may find it difficult to shop, because nowadays we are creating clothing at a very rapid pace, and we are not taking the time to add different structural elements. We are simplifying design to an extreme degree. We are eliminating some of the more complicated techniques and the fit elements that really bring a garment from like this level to this level. It will be very hard for you to go into a store and find a well-fitted garment in this fabric that fits your curves like that. Shapes, it could fit most shapes, as I said. It could fit your straight shapes, it could fit your rectangular shapes, it could fit your circle shapes. With the proper construction techniques, it could be restrained curve, although that would require a little bit more finessing of the fit, which is not prioritized, as I said, in this day and age of fashion. Let's talk about the print scale and where it might fit on the essence. So it is a small floral print, as you can see here. Now, does that small floral print automatically make it ingenue? I'm going to say no. You know, I don't get ingenue from this print. I think it's a fairly flexible print though, because even though the flowers are very small, when we zoom back out, we have a very large scale design. These flowers have a lot of background space, and that foreground and background relationship is creating a much larger scale print. Now just look at it compared to my face. It feels big. So even though it has small flowers, the print itself is larger scale. Let's try to design garments for this fabric for a couple different essences. Immediately, I am thinking, based on the weight of this fabric, remember we can't do anything in isolation. We have to think about how this fabric is going to fall. Is this going to have an ethereal floatiness? An ethereal wear it, sure. But it's not what I think of first when I think of ethereal. I think this has more structure, more stance, more weight to it than an ethereal might gravitate towards. Although, you know, I do like this pattern for ethereal. I think that could be kind of pretty. So I'm going to design a piece for dramatic, classic, and romantic. And that may surprise you, but let's go through it. So for dramatic, we want something bold, we want something sharp, we want something long. And this fabric, this fabric in a long, structured thing could look fabulous. Yang, intensity. So, and would it matter which color we use? No, I'm leaning towards this one just because I like it. It has a little bit more punch to it. So this is the outfit I would choose for dramatic. Now, romantic. How could a romantic use this? It has some nice shine. While the flowers are small, it still has this moderate scale, some big curves through it. I think with the right tailoring, a romantic could look very polished in this outfit. So it might not be the femme fatale, but I think it could work. I think it could work. What about something like this for the romantic? With the romantic styling and the romantic support ornamentation. Because here's the thing, you can have the perfect piece, the perfect color palette, but if you don't complete the look, then it falls apart. Then we lose the essence of the outfit. We lose the aesthetic impact. We should do a whole video about ornamentation. I may consider that, but romantic outfit, romantic styling, it's doable. Now classic. This is a pretty bold color for our classics, but I'm sure bright spring classics exist. Maybe we choose this color for the classics and we make a dress like this. And we keep, so notice the romantic had a lot more zhuzh to it. We're having bigger hair, we're having more glamorous earrings, and even with the dramatic, we're having sharper, bolder, larger. Classic, we're gonna tone it down. We're gonna try to find that middle ground of perfect balance where nothing is pulling attention. So we're going to change the styling and we're going to do this. Now, I just thought about something. What about gamine? Where could this fall on the gamine structure? I like that it's two-tone. I think that could be really playful. Does the print scream gamine to me? No, but the color palette is workable for a gamine. And what if we did something like this? And we have the two tones playing against each other, creating a more playful vibe. Now, this fabric is good for gamines. It definitely holds its shape. We can create shorter staccato lines with it. And then we add some more playful, energetic vibrancy with the styling in the hair, and then we can really see how malleable fabric can be. When we look at a fabric, when we look at style lines, we want to evaluate all of these things and then prioritize certain things. Because if we focus only on color, we're going to miss important elements about our body that aren't harmonizing. And if we focus only on style lines, we're not livening our presence up as much as if we wear our colors. Now, I hope you have found this video helpful. I love doing it. Here are some other fabrics that I have on hand that we could choose from next. We can also do non-prints if you'd like to see that as well. So here are your 4 options. Please vote in the comments which ones you would like to see next so I don't have to throw fabric up and try to catch it. Okay, and until next time.